Hello, hello, hello. This is Donna Reiners, and blessings to you this day. I have talked to a number of people this week, women specifically, who have felt unheard, who have felt unstable. And because they felt unstable, they have that cattywampousness has caused them to feel insecure. And that causes you to feel like you can't make decisions. I've also talked to some folks that have been married for a really long time. And they married someone, this is a number of people, they married someone similar to my husband, not to my husband, to my dad, who was the my way or the highway guy. And so after a time frame of being married 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it's like because you married into a system where what the man had to say was the only thing that was worth listening to over a long period of time, you forget how to make decisions, even though you made decisions before. Or maybe when you married, you weren't yet accustomed to making decisions. Or you went from your own family dynamic of being under the thumb of a family who it was the my way or the highway system to getting married to a system of my way or the highway again. And so maybe over a long period of time, you've never developed your own voice. You've never had an opportunity to make a decision. Instead, you have only been in a system of compliance without thought for a really long time. So in the midst of that, let's go 20, 30 years down the road. Now your hormones are out of whack. Your emotions are going crazy. You're making your family crazy. And yet, in the middle of all that, you have medical doctors telling you that you're not correct in what you're perceiving. They're saying nothing's wrong with you. They do all the blood work and they're like, you're fine. What's your problem? Change your mind. I see no issue with you. This says there's no issue with you. And yet over here, you have this emotional instability happening inside of you that you can't just exercise self-control over. And I tell you, the church world is like, well, just exercise self-control. The church world is like, just take authority over that. The church world is like, just meditate it away and you'll be fine. And yet in the middle of all of that, there's a balance of, but on the way to where I'm going crazy. And so if you're in any of that camp, you're not alone. There are many people, many women in that circumstance. And I just want to encourage you not to think that you have to continue being compliant without thought. And I recognize that you could be in a situation where perhaps your spouse is one that doesn't have ears to hear because they're still trapped in the my way or the highway from where they were born and the system of belief they came up under. And so they're not going to change just like that. They're used to my way or the highway. They're used to, this is what I want. I have it in a nice little tidy little box. And this is how I'm going to do things. And it's just, I'm going to do this. And you're over here just doing what you're told. And after a while, you give 20, 30, 40 years of marriage to a situation like that, the other spouse has no reason to make decisions because they're all being made for them, has no reason to have critical thinking skills kicking into gear because they're all being made for that other person, whether it be male or female, doesn't matter. Sometimes it's the female that the one is the patriarchal person or the one that's decided it was my way or the highway, or look, I only feel safe if I'm doing all this and you just go out there and do what you're told. Doesn't matter. But there's a system of belief that's really a place of unbelief. It's a place where you don't trust. You don't trust anybody but yourself. And when you're in the midst of that environment and you're in the midst of your emotions and your hormones going just bonkers, I just want to reassure you that you're not losing your mind. And I also want to reassure you that your strength is strong. Why? Because as a female, I'm just telling you straight up, whether you have ever had children or not biologically coming through you, you were made for a bowling ball to go through your freaking loins. That means you have a strength that you do not understand. And you have critical thinking skills that maybe you've forgotten you have. And you have the ability to make decisions that perhaps you haven't made in a really long time. So maybe you've lost practice. Maybe you haven't made them in 20, 30 years and you are insecure, you're unsure of making decisions because you haven't done it in so long. I don't know. I'm just telling you that maybe you just need some estrogen, or maybe you need some progesterone, or maybe your testosterone, maybe you need some of that. I've had some circumstances for folks, their testosterone was off the chain. Why? Because their progesterone and their estrogen and the other estros are down in the tank. And do you know, when you look at that up and you see what happens in a body when estrogen is gone, it is pretty freaking scary, guys. And when you have someone that's just really heavy on their, usually it's because their testosterone feels like this because all the rest is like this. Listen, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not here to cure you, treat you, prescribe to you, tell you what's wrong with you. I'm just telling you, in this age where we can look up things and understand things and educate ourselves in things, there's no reason for you to go into a system that tells you you're crazy and for you to leave thinking, well, there's nothing wrong with me, when maybe there is an imbalance. And look, I do carry tools that have helped me. I know that I was able, and I'm so thankful, for the most part, over a 6-month period, I watched my hair stop falling out. I watched my balance take place. And I watched me no longer thinking I was losing my mind. It took 6 months. Some people take longer than that. And then yet there are still times like today, just being straightforward. Today, I was pretty weepy. Today, I may just cry again. I feel it. Sorry about that. But I'm not insane. I just want, as a side note, I just want to know, sidebar, I want to know, why is it okay for a man to have anger and a man to lose their cool, but they're okay, there's nothing wrong with them. But if a woman cries, they're losing their mind or they're unstable. Why is that? There's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with that perception. So today I was a little weepy. I was sitting here in the chair. Thank God Craig is kind. He's like, what's going on? What's wrong with you? Why? Because he wants to bring me a solution, because that's how he's made. He's like, okay, if you have an issue, 2 + 2 = 4. So here's your 4 so you can handle it. And I appreciate it. He has a strong gift set that's very, very helpful if I'm doing like this. But like this doesn't mean my hormones are wacko. Sometimes it means I'm just having a moment. Just a moment. We all have moments. Whether you've walked through some grief and you're in touch with grief, or you have a moment, or I know someone who has a strong justice button and they get a moment. They're like, hey, that's wrong, you know. And so I was having a moment today. I was talking with someone recently about entering into maybe a service-oriented situation where I could gain some help in some things. And basically, at the end of the day, I was told that I wasn't really a good fit at this time. And it was because I really needed to narrow down what I wanted to do, which I totally got, respect, understand. And at the same time, do you know how many people were never allowed to exercise their options, and were never allowed to exercise their gifts, and were never allowed to discover their talents and discover their gifts? And yet there's multiple things that come out of them at one time. And sometimes you just need someone to narrow those multiple streams into a thought process. Because I'm not the only one like me. Because I minister to a lot of women behind the scenes. and talk to a lot of folks privately and help them narrow down things, because they're kind of similar to me, and they have all these things happening, especially when you get older. Why? Because when you get older, you're more mature. You've handled a lot of life. I watched my sister pass away in front of me. We are watching our other sister in a very difficult season of life where her body is weaker. And it's heart-wrenching when you watch someone you love start failing. But when you're younger, you don't look at those things. When you're younger, you're bebopping along. You don't necessarily stop and pause and go, wait, this could be either with me or a loved one. So kindness is one of those things that needs to be developed. And it's only developed through life experience. And so, back to the point, you're not losing your mind, whether you're female or male. You're not losing it. Sometimes you just need some support. You need some support in your body. You need some support in your brain. You need some physical support, not just some 1, 2, 3 spiritual guru support, because there are chemical things happening inside of you that need to find some balance. Do you know why? How many people go and they're either on some kind of Ritalin or Adderall from a very young age? Do you know why? Because they have something imbalanced. So what happens instead, they get controlled and their brain takes on an avenue inside the brain of this is how it's controlled. And what disturbs me, I'm taking a little moment because of the way my brain works, because all this fits together to me. What disturbs me is, I went to a seminar a few months back on nerves and spine and and pain control. And this doctor was talking about why there were so many people that take drugs, pain medication, and he named all these specific pain medications. And what they do, as a medical doctor is telling me, what they do is they literally tell your brain that there's no pain. And what it does is it cuts off the blood supply, and it cuts off the, oh my gosh. Uh-oh. Just a moment. I just remembered something. It cuts off the blood supply, and it cuts off the oxygen supply in that area of tissue, so the area literally never repairs. And so you're dependent on the pain medication here to talk to your body, while your body fails and your body falls in a place of compromise, and then you're trapped in the pharma. When there are things that you can naturally do to support yourself mentally, emotionally, with others that understand that you're not losing their mind, and neither are they. Anyway, I just want to encourage that there are 4 things in my mind. Number 1, don't be compliant without thought, even if it ruffles the feathers. Number 2, if you're a woman, you have the strength. You are stronger than you know. And even if you've never had biological children, you are strong. You're made to be strong. 3, hormones are a real issue. And please, please, please do not think you're going crazy. If you go to multiple medical professionals or holistic professionals that look at blood work and tell you, you know what, you're the one who's got an issue, because here there's nothing. There's something else going on, and you need to go on the adventure to figure it out and find it out, and don't just shut it up. And you're just not crazy. Anyway, those are my tips for the day. It's kind of all over the place because that's how my brain's made, but I have noticed with many women, our brains are all over the place, and women that can Oh my goodness. I would never look at that. I have a comment for myself saying, send 200 stars to see your comment here. I don't want that. I don't know why that's appearing there, but I never said for that to happen. Let me look at little comments. I need more estrogen. You are so funny. This, my way or the highway ad, is a warrant of dying a lonely person. Yes, actually, my dad did die a lonely person. He died alone with my sister, who was very kind to sit with him. And he was very humbled by the end of his life. Pastor Bo said it was the worst thing he'd seen in 50 years of hospital ministry. That's so bad what happened to my dad. And a good holiday remedy for crying is always hot tamales, very therapeutic. Amen, Mike. That's awesome. That's awesome. For me, I take a long walk. I'd love to get a massage. That would help me. Helps me to take a drive. Today, I gave myself a peppermint mocha, which is not good for me at all, but it helped my mind. Saw a person I hadn't seen in a long time. It was good to reacquaint with him. His name is Happy, which actually brought me joy when I saw him. I'm like, oh, it's Happy. And you know, I just want to encourage you while you're on the way to where you're going, even if someone seemingly rejects you because you're not what they're looking for, it doesn't mean that you're rejected. That's just narrowing the gate for you for the direction that you're taking, and that there's a plan that maybe you don't understand yet, but it's not too late. And also, I just want to say this, you know, I was shut down for most of my life of exploring anything, of, I just grew up with a real poverty mindset. Now that's gone. And if you knew me well, you would know that I have the goods to prove that. Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially. But that was the journey. The journey is discovering who you are, not just what you've got. Who you are. Who you are brings what you've got. And sometimes it's not always put in words. And I know I need to narrow my niche or all that jazz. And I'm on my way to doing that. And that will take place. It's been stop and go for me because of life. Real life. Life worthy of books. Life worthy of a soap opera that people watch every day. In the meantime, I'm not insecure. I'm not unstable. I'm tender. I love humanity. I love myself. And I believe God is good in the middle of all of that. And those are good things. So anyway, I bless you today. I love to walk outside in the warm sun. Amen. I love that. I do too. I think it's very healthy to do. Anyway, I got to go because honestly, it just dawned on me. I'm late for a doctor appointment. I forgot I had it. I hope they'll let me come late. That was a phone call and I stopped. I'm like, uh-oh, I forgot about that. Oh, no. Oh. It's because today I had a moment. But that's okay. I think outside the box and all is well. You have a fab day too, honey. Talk to y'all another time. Blessings. Bye.